Award-winning author Neil Gaiman is thrilled at how people around the world received the TV adaptation of his hit comic book series, The Sandman. The fantasy drama series is still among the top TV shows on Netflix 3 weeks after it premiered on the streaming service. And I got to speak to Neil, the brains behind The Sandman, about the experience of making the film as well as the success of the show.
It's definitely been a bit of a dream come true, yes. I think a lot of it has been from discovering, watching the way that it's gone huge all around the world. I don't think I expected that. I expected it to be #1 in the US and the UK because they're places that I expected. I expected it to go huge even in places like Brazil. But watching the astonishing list of places all around the world, 89 countries that it's been in the top 10, many of them at #1, it's amazing. And I love how popular it's been in the Philippines. I have a huge soft spot for the Philippines, so that's been really thrilling.
Well, definitely #1 here in the Philippines, and people are loving it. And I just interviewed Lourdes a few days ago, and I was just telling her that people are watching it, rewatching it, and of course, with that in mind, we would like to know the journey. It wasn't an easy one. I mean, 30 years ago, you had this comic book series, 75 issues, and 30 years later, here we are. I mean, watching it. Tell me a little bit about the journey and maybe the challenges that were in place prior to this.
The big challenge for me over the last 30 years was stopping bad versions of Sandman being made. It wasn't making this. I feel like we got incredibly lucky in that the exact moment that the world opened up to the point where we could have made this, where I had made a TV series called Good Omens, in which I also had Lourdes playing Pollution, that I could do. I'd learned enough about making television and making this kind of high VFX, very expensive television, to be able to know what I wanted, to be able to communicate, and to know that people like Netflix and Warner Brothers Television, who actually made this, would trust me. And that, I think, honestly, has been the biggest bit of all. So we got to that place, and then they let us make it. And I don't think there was honestly another era in human history that we could have had access to the money, the resources, and also, I think we got incredibly lucky because, as Tom Sturridge's mother said to me, she said, well, you needed Tom to become the kind of actor who could do this first. She said he wouldn't have been ready, because I'd mentioned to her that Tom was actually in the running to be the lead for the Stardust movie that we made back in 2007 and did not get. Well, you've got him in the right part now, and he's grown as an actor, and he really is. We're just so lucky.
I mean, definitely, it was probably destiny, the right place at the right time. You held off this long, and now these are the fruits of your wonderful labor. How difficult was it? I mean, this was something way back 30 years ago. I mean, the concepts in terms of your gender fluid, sexuality, diversity, way back in the 90s was probably a bit foreign or not really something that you'd like to talk about. And then now, I mean, did you have foresight into all of this? But now in 2022, you seem to have an audience for it.
I think it always felt like we were a little ahead of our time, coming out in 1988, 1989. But the great thing about being ahead of your time is you don't really even get attacked. You just get kind of looked at in a baffled kind of way. I mean, I remember somewhere in there, the Concerned Mothers of America wrote us a very strong letter telling us that we had to repent and stop putting gay characters in our comic, and otherwise they would be boycotting us. And we never repented. We never stopped putting the gay characters in. And as far as I know, the boycott still continues. Um, but it's the great thing about being ahead of your time is if you just wait long enough, the times will catch up with you. And I think right now, Sandman is utterly of its time. Sandman is right here and right now, and people are loving it.
And tell me a little bit about Sandman, your Sandman, that we're enjoying right now here at Netflix. Tell me a little bit about the story, these 10 episodes that you have created. And as I understand, this is what, only 400 pages of your 3,000 pages that you still have to
It's
show
true.
us?
Absolutely. Actually, it's not 10 episodes anymore. It's now 11 episodes because we just dropped an unexpected secret episode that nobody knew about with
Now we
two
know.
more stories in it. So everybody's happy. The idea of the Sandman is there is a world that you go to when you close your eyes at night called the Dreaming, and it's a real place. And the ruler of the Dreaming is somebody who goes by many names. He's called Dream, he's called Morpheus. Some people even call him the Sandman. And at the beginning of episode 1, he's captured and he's held prisoner in a magic circle underneath in a cellar under a manor house for over 100 years, finally escaping at the end to find that his objects of power have been scattered, his kingdom has crumbled, his subjects have fled, and he needs to put it all back together again. And that's where we start.
It seems like I could listen to you forever as you continue to tell me the story of this. A little bit about Lourdes. I mean, I know you mentioned a little bit about her, having worked with her. What was it like? I mean, or what made you think that, hey, I think I'd like Lourdes to join me again here at the Sandman?
Lourdes is now one of the only 2 human beings to be in all 3 of the shows that I've made. She was in Good Omens. She was in Anansi Boys, which is still coming out, and now she's in The Sandman. I just absolutely fell in love with her acting technique when I met her as Pollution on Good Omens. I thought, here is an absolutely fearless actor because she's astonishingly beautiful, astonishingly brilliant, and she had no hesitation at all in playing a terrifying, pale, white-eyed, motorcycle riding person of no gender whatsoever and in the shape of Pollution. And she pulled it off and was fabulous. But it also meant that when I was thinking about somebody that I could have come in and just be utterly convincing for Sandman, playing a businesswoman, playing this smart businesswoman who I think was as far as you could possibly get from Pollution. I thought, Lourdes could do it. She's amazing. And we asked her in, and, episode 5 of Sandman, I think, is one of the strongest and most powerful episodes in the whole thing. And she is such an integral part of that. I feel like we got really lucky.
That's right. She said that you actually gave her a choice and she decided to take the woman of the world route, and which is what we're actually enjoying in episode 5. I've run out of time, but thank you so much, Neil, for being so
having
gracious
me.
and for speaking with us. All the best. And we look forward to more of Sandman in the days to come.
I
Thank
look
you.
forward to it too. Thank you so much.